Underpainting. It can speed up your painting, make your minis more visually interesting, and ultimately, be a lot of fun. But what is it? How do you do it and pick colors that work? Let's get into it. This is Caffeinated Miniatures. I'm Jared. Hey there, hobby friends. I really can't overstate how this underpainting with fun, sometimes vibrant colors has fundamentally changed my relationship with painting. Experimenting with it has helped me paint faster, sometimes much faster, create more interesting work, and ultimately free my monkey brain up to just have more fun. Now, this is a video, so rather than ramble on about it, let's actually put some paint on a mini. Maybe something from today's sponsor, Only Games, and the Only Games Crate, a subscription service for monthly miniatures. For just a few dollary dues, you get 3 sci-fi or 3 fantasy minis from a different creator each month. This Spec Ops Orc from Mr. Module Orc is from January's Sci-Fi Crate. In addition to some great minis, you get exclusive painting masterclasses from the Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy and discounts on monthly creators, as well as all of the paints and accessories from Only Games. To get in on this action, just go to the link in the description. Thanks Only Games for sponsoring this mediocre hobby content. Now, back to the video. So what is underpainting? For me, it's about setting the lighting, the mood, and the overall vibe of the mini, starting with the shadow colors. Think of it like a messy base coat. Rather than picking out each material or item, I'm just slopping 2 or 3 colors over everything. My only concern is really the direction of light. For this orc, the light source is primarily hitting his face. So I started with dark purple, the darkest color, covering the back of the mini and ensuring to get behind the weapon. This is where the least amount of light will be. Then with purple, I'll cover the front of the model, allowing it to spill over the sides a fair amount, as well as gently hitting some of the upper facing surfaces on the back. Finally with magenta, I'll really focus on the light hitting the face. And this right here is the beauty of doing this process. The mini already looks interesting. Obviously, I'm using an airbrush here. It's a fundamental part of my workflow and I absolutely love it. However, you can certainly do the same thing with a brush. Okay, so that's how we lay the colors down, but how do we actually choose those colors? Obviously, we could simply go with darker versions of our primary colors. However, just using a basic amount of color theory, we can make things so much more interesting. For instance, because this orc is primarily green, I went with purple, as it's the complementary color to green. This simply means that they're on opposite sides of each other on the color wheel. In my experiments, I've found using complementary colors to be just a fun dynamic. Painting something light blue-gray? Start with magenta. Desaturated red-orange? Start with blue. Ultimately, experiment and have fun. And now for the secret sauce in this process. I'll set up some of each of the underpainting colors on the palette, then mix a little into each color. Starting with the orc's flesh, I mixed a little pale yellow into camel green to create the darkest skin tone. For all of the darkest areas, I mixed in a small amount of dark purple. Then did the same for the purple and magenta areas. Because I front-loaded the work, setting the lighting with the underpainting, I just kind of follow this light mapping, thinning the paint to be fairly transparent, then painting each area using the matching tinted color. Dark purple-green on the dark purple areas, purple-green on purple areas, magenta-green for the magenta areas. I'll also make sure to leave the deepest recesses of each area untouched, ensuring small sections remain the underpainted color. From this point, I'll work up the volumes by mixing in more and more of the highlight color, in this case pale yellow, into each of the previous mixes. And this is an area that can really help with speed. I simply don't apply as many highlights to the darker areas. They are literally in less light and would naturally have less contrast. Then I continue in this way for each area, material, and color. Tan colored shirt, I'll mix the various base colors in. Dark brown boots, yep, same thing. Leather belts, straps, nearly everything. The main exception being metals, or at least silver metals. For these I'll use some combination of cool, neutral, or warm grays. For this orc I went with a combination of Payne's Grey and bright neutral grey to create a rather cool blue steel look that I thought would work here. As always, I've done absolutely no blending on anything on this model. I just aim to get highlights in the right areas. And that, coupled with the appealing contrast of the complementary colors in the shadows and highlights, makes for visually interesting minis. If I'm knocking out a bunch of minis in a relatively quick way, like these Primal Bruiser Shock Troopers, I'll use less diluted paint and relatively opaque layers. This, combined with the visual interest created with the underpainting, means I can knock them out pretty quickly. But back to this Spec Ops orc. And after splashing a little paint on the base, we can call him done. Well, there you go. My version of underpainting, or whatever you want to call it. It's something I've been experimenting with for many months at this point, and like I said, has helped me paint faster and ultimately have more fun. But what do you think? Have you tried something similar, or do you want to give this a shot? Let me know in the comments below. If you do try it, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see what you get up to. Once again, thank you to Only Games for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check them out in the link below. As always, if you've made it this far, you are an absolute legend. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more mediocre hobby content. And thanks for watching. You are awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.